Hi, my name's Gerry, and I'm a twin troller boat owner. I have a question for you, and I'd like you to try to answer below in the comments. When you sit on the seat inside your twin troller and you want to spin around, is it more difficult to do that, to get your legs around all of this stuff, than you really wish that it was? So do I. So stay with me and let's see if what I want to do will help. Don't forget, make your comments. In the description below this video, there are links to most of the items used in many of my videos. They are there so you can locate them in case you are interested. One solution might be to change the chair to something like this, or something like this. And maybe you guys from up north would be more comfortable with something like this. But what I want to do is raise the seat up, I don't know, maybe about this much. How am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? Well, the distance between these two supports for this chair is a given, and the distance between this side of this plate that spins to the other side is a given. So I'm going to cut a 2x6 to fit that size. Matter of fact, I'm planning on cutting 2. And then I will stack them on top of each other. I'll paint them to look black like the rest of this. I'll have to get some longer stainless steel bolts to go in here, and then we'll put it back in place. And when I get done, this should be about that much higher up. And the hopes is when you sit down in here and you want to spin your legs around, you can do that a little bit easier. I'm 5'10". I'm not real tall. I'm not short. At times I have difficulty trying to get around all of this. I've usually got at least 6 rods with me. I've got bags of tackle. I've usually got a GoPro attached here and all the things that go with that. I've got rod holders that have fishing poles in them. And it's kind of a pain to spin around to get to the back, to start up the Honda, and then operate under the outboard. Because then I have to spin around again, drive to where I'm trying to go. And sometimes when I get there, push the kill switch and let it die. But if I want to go into a place that's got a lot of weeds in it, which is most of Florida, I then usually tip this into the up position so I'm not trying to drag that propeller through the weeds with my trolling motors. So let's try to do that. Okay, I have my seat, put it on a workbench where I can work temporarily so you can see. I took out my tackle boxes out of the 2 sides, just so that they're not in the way. I'm gonna tip this over. Now there's 4 bolts on the bottom, as you, I'm sure, remember having to put the seats together when you got your brand new twin troller. So this plate that's here is just shy of 6.5 inches. It doesn't make much difference what the length of the board is going this direction. So I'm gonna put it 6.5 inches. And I wrote it down here. When I measure the other direction, and the 2 supports are exactly 5 inches. So I have to cut the board 6.5 this way and 5 inches to go this way. Let me also say it's Florida, so I have a fan on. If you hear that noise in the background, please bear with me. To take these bolts off, I'm using a 11mm socket, and I know it's the same size as a 7/16. I just happen to grab this one first. So let me spin these guys off. All right. I have 2 of these aluminum plates, and I have 4 nuts. So let's separate the seat from the bracket. Set this on the ground. As you can see, there are 4 bolts here. And in order to get them off, because I'm going to put on longer ones, I have to take this plate off because the chair is in the way. Let me get a screwdriver. Now I want to also point out one thing. We just took 4 of these screws out of the seat itself, but if you look, 2 of them are a different size. 2 are longer, 2 are shorter. If you look down the hole, it takes the longer ones here to get in. If you put these up here, it would be this tall, and there's not enough depth there. So the the shorter ones screw in here, the longer ones screw in here, and you can see they'll both be the same length. Why they did that, I don't know, but you don't want to mess that up putting them back in. All right, so we want 6.5 inches one way, 5 inches the other. So let's measure out. I'm using a 2x6 because a 2x4 would not be wide enough. All right, 6.5 inches. All right, we're going to cut this side first, 6.5. And through the magic of editing, I'm going to use my quiet saw. See that? Nice and quiet. And so I won't bore you to death since you already saw me do one. I cut a second board, so they're both 6.5 inches long this way. Now I'm going to cut them 5 inches this way. Okay, measured 5 inches. Here's the base of the seat. Here's 2 of these boards that I cut. Let's see how they fit. Well, the fit at 5 inches was exactly on the money. Does make a difference how far this plate will sit right over the top. The bolts will go down the outside of it and then attach to the plate that's on the bottom. It will be good. How long of a bolt do we need? The bolt has to go not from way up here. It has to go to this plate because this top one spins like that when you turn your seat. So I'll put that on the edge. The bolt's got to go through that hole. And to the bottom is actually just a little bit more than 4 inches. So we need at least a 4.5 in order to put the nut on. So I need a bolt, 4 of them that are 4.5 inch bolts. And this is the original size bolt. So I have to go to the store and get 4 of these in 4.5 inch. And I want the same size so that they fit in the holes. Well, the closest I could come is 5 inch galvanized bolts, which should be good enough for what I'm trying to do, and the 5 inch is fine. These 4 blocks here, I just painted them black to match the rest of the seat hardware. Those are the 4 blocks that I will use. 2 of them are for one seat, 2 are for the other seat. I'll do the first seat first, see how I like it. If I like it, then I'll just add in the other blocks. And now I have to let all that paint dry, and then I'll mount it to the seat, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, it's the next day, and my paint has dried on my blocks. And there's 2 blocks for this seat, 2 blocks for the other if I decide I like this. And how far are we going to raise it? We're going to raise it exactly 3 inches from the height that it originally was. So it goes on right about here, and then this plate goes over the top with the longer bolts going down to make up the difference with these plates underneath and bolted on. So let's get this plate mounted to the bottom of the seat with the bolts already in place. This seat swivel is going to go like this, and I've already got these long bolts on here to be able to do this. I'll just finger tight get this started. And if you're hearing lots of noise in the background, the neighbors are mowing lawns, so hopefully you can hear me well enough anyway. So let's put these screws in. Like I said before, I would not run these all the way in tight with a drill like this. I'm just going to get them in until they're a little bit snug. These two blocks will go right here. Let me line them up and get them even in the middle. These little plates, aluminum plates, go here. Okay, I have the nuts started. These are carriage bolts. They have a square shoulder, and it fits in a slot where the seat swivel is. And so these will not spin if I reach up here and hold my finger down to keep it in the slot. So I'm tightening these up just a little bit to get them up snug. And now that I have it snugged up where it's not going to move, you can put it on its side and tighten this up much easier. If any of you have used this system that I created to put additional storage on each side with tackle boxes, when I got this off, I realized that some of these nuts are getting a little bit loose over the last 5 years, and I tightened them up. So if you do this, even if you don't do it, you might want to check these every once in a while. Okay, here we are. And here's the seat. It's now 3 inches higher than it was. It's not 3 feet, it's 3 inches. But at times, I thought that it being a little bit taller would make a difference, and I'm gonna have to try. If I like it, I'll do the other seat also. At the boat launch, the boat's in the water, and I am going to see how the taller seat works, see if I like it. I've already got the air blown out from under the hull. I'm going fishing also, but in addition, I'm going to try and get some bait. Keys go in my bag, my wallet and all that is. Put my wide-brimmed hat on, and the most important thing is my life jacket. Oh, first impression, I am much higher up. Boat launched at Granada boat launch on Toho, and I set my timer on my watch for 45 minutes. So every 45 minutes, I send a text to my wife saying that I'm okay. She's supposed to pay attention, because if I don't send that, it means I either forgot or I'm in trouble. Well, it's a little bit windy out here today. The wind is coming out of the southeast, coming all the way across the lake and really creating havoc. So I'm gonna pull out and I'm going to another lake, small lake, that's a little bit more protected. I don't know if you can see, but whitecaps are starting to form on this end of the lake. Time to go someplace else where it's calmer. Okay, I've moved for another lake, much smaller and obviously calmer. And as you can see, I've got too much junk in the boat. I brought casting net, items to catch bait, which didn't turn out to be too well. There just wasn't any bait to be had. But it gave me an opportunity to test this seat and see if I liked it. If you look in the water off the front left side of the boat, you can see that there's a bed there. And I'm fishing that with a drop shot. There's a small fish on there. I'm hoping that there's a larger female around. But alright, this little fish was on a bed. I caught him on a drop shot. It's pretty aggressive. That's probably the male. And hopefully we'll find a female. But I never did. I eventually caught a few more fish, but just like this. Most of them through the hook. At least I didn't have to get my hands dirty. That's alright, it was a dink. So what do I think about the raised seat? Well, it's a little bit more comfortable. My knees are not bent as much as they were before. I can see into the water a little bit better. I can cast a little bit better. And I think sitting a little bit taller allows other people to see you, especially if you're in a dense area like Central Florida, and a lot of our lakes are kind of marsh-like. That way you don't get run over. Okay, I put the two seats back in. This seat is the original height. This is the new height. Is it a drastic difference? No, but I didn't want it to be. That's what they look like. With the backrest up, I kind of like it. I want to show you something else. I threw the cover over this loosely, and I still have the Honda on the back, which I don't normally do because it's not designed to go over the motor also. And it's pulled on the other side the same amount it is here, so I think raising the seat will still allow you enough play in the cover to be able to use this even with the seat raised up the small amount that I did. So let me know right below in the comments, do you wish that your seat was a little bit taller? Is this something that you might consider doing? Does this make sense to you? Thanks for watching. Bye now. So don't forget to subscribe or give me a thumbs up. Click on the bell, share with your friends, or leave comments and questions below.